Hello guys and welcome back to Pillars of Eternity 2. This video is going to be about the wizard. Yeah, the wizard. Um, she's a bit of a damage dealer, obviously. If you look at her character sheet, and her records, she's done 186k through the game, whereas my fighter's done 51, so it's almost 4 times as much. She's pretty good at low levels and high levels. She is a glass cannon, so you do have to mess around with her a little bit. What I found helps is these boots that grant leap is quite handy. Saved her ass quite a few times, but there are a couple of spells that can help her out. She has no armor. She's got a 7 rated armor with a 0% recovery time, and she's carrying a wand. She does have shield in a second thingy bob, but that's really only there for ornamentative purposes. She's got a scepter in a second hand, but initially when you play from the beginning, you want the 12 accuracy buff that you get from, as you can see, where is it? Accuracy there is 104, and if I put that on, it drops to 92. So you do lose 12 accuracy when you are dual wielding, but obviously you gain a little bit of damage. But at the beginning, if you find that you're not hitting that often, just stick to single, and if you find that you're alright, you're doing okay, sure, stick it in the scepter and why not. Or dual wand, or whatever. I don't think there's any penalty if you use the scepter and the wand. As you can see, I'm not using a grimoire at the minute. It's because I've got to level 18 and I've actually got all the spells that I need by selecting them, which I'll cover in a minute. Anything else? No? Alright, we'll come back to that. So let's go and start our character creation.
What can I do? See anything you like?
Male or female, it doesn't matter. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen the first video for the fighter, I recommend you go and take a look at it. There's a few things I cover in there. I'm not going to repeat myself about them, so if something doesn't make sense to you, it's because you missed that video. So go and take a look at that and come back. So we're going to take a human. I don't really want the resolve, but I don't want to lose the might, so there's not a lot of characters that give the extra might. I mean, you might think about Luna. I'm not 100% sure about these characters. I haven't selected them before. I don't know if you can put a helm on them. I'm not 100% sure. But we'll just stick with human for a minute. I don't really want that to resolve, but oh well. Single class wizard evoker. We are going to take Eldritch Aim. We're going to slam everything into might. We're going to drop Constitution to 5, put everything into Dexterity, pop Perception up to 15, drop Resolve to 5. I think that is good. Yeah. Yeah, see, what I would like to do is drop Resolve another 2 points and maybe put her into Con, but you could actually do that. That might work out a little bit better, to try to get Con up to 10 as soon as possible. But we definitely want Intellect at 15, we want Perception at 15, Dexterity at 18, Might at 19. Yeah, well, the food is going to take it up to 8. That resolve, obviously, if she does have hostile effect duration, is going to hurt. The will doesn't really matter because we're regaining it from intellect, but we'll have a look. Let's keep it like that. Going to take the dexterity, aristocrat, wand and scepter. Blah 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 on buff. Next. Let's take a little look at it. Okay, so she's got 19 might and 5 con, which is obviously from the Mariner's Porridge, is going to take it to 20 and 7. She's got 19 in dex, you want to get it to 20 as soon as possible, so as soon as you find something with dexterity on it, chuck her on her. Perception, she's got 15, which she can buff up to 20 straight away. The aware buff gives her +5 perception. It's going to take her to 20, which is amazing. And her intellect's 15 is going to give you an extra 25% on the ability duration. She does have a lot of self buffs, so that ability duration does come in handy. The +10 will we gain is negated by the -10 will that we lose. She also loses a little bit of deflection, so she is a little bit glassy. She will die in Path of the Damned. She is going to die for sure, but we'll do our best to keep her alive. As far as skills go, I'll go back to my level 20 character. Arcana and Athletics. Obviously, Athletics give her a second wind ability. Arcana will allow her to use spells in her quick slot items. Pretty much the same as all the other characters through Q3 due to diminishing returns. Pop an extra one in Intimidate for the reasons I covered in the fighter video. And this is pretty much it. Now, obviously, I'm not using a Grimoire at the minute because I've pretty much selected all the spells that I want to take, and I've pretty much got all the stuff that I need. I don't use Empower to buff spells. Well, occasionally I do to buff the Middle Letters Missile Salvo because it's pretty potent. The last thing you want to get is the Spirit of Decay, because Middle Letters Missile Salvo is the only spell that actually uses Corrode. Everything else is crush damage, and there's no fire damage or electricity damage spells in here. They're all pretty much shields, buffs, missile spells, all evocation. Obviously there's a lot of spells we can't use, being an evoker. These two spells on this line, the Hex, you could take the Adrigan instead. The difference between the Hex and the Adrigan, the Hex is better, but the Adrigan doesn't hurt friendlies, and it's the same with Freezing Rake and Wilting Wind. Wilting Wind's a little bit better, but it does have the tendency to affect your own guys, so you've got to be a little bit careful. So you might have to do a little bit of micromanagement. Obviously the missiles are self-explanatory. You've got a defense buff here, something that's going to improve your perception, something that's going to improve your chance to crit, and then another missile spell on this line, Slumber, make people fall asleep, Hex, Elgarth's, Ningarth Killing Bolt, Wilting Wind, and finally Miniletter's Missile Salvo. Passives self-explanatory, quite easy to pick actually. Yeah, so that's it. That's pretty much it. At the beginning she's a little bit underwhelming. You'll find that when she's only got like Miniletter's Bound and Missiles in her repertoire, especially when she's only got 1 or 2 spells that she can activate at level 1, level 2, etc. You've got to change your scripts a bit and not use Spirit Shield. You might even not use Eldritch's Aim, so you can cast a couple of Miniletters Wing Missiles instead, but that's all dependent on the encounter. I'll just cancel that a second. And we'll take a little look at her AI script. As far as her AI script goes, make sure the behavior priority is set to list order. In the last video as well for the Paladin, that should have been set to list order as well. I didn't realise until I watched it back. So off the bat, same as all the other guys, she's going to cast her second wind if she goes below 50%. Next thing she's going to do, she's going to pop a haste on herself. Obviously if you haven't got these spells you can't do these things. So add them as you level up. And she's going to cast a Spirit Shield on herself if she's engaged by anybody, and she's going to cast Mirrored Image if she's engaged by anybody. Obviously Spirit Shield increases her armor rating for 45 seconds, and Mirror Image increases her deflection by 30, which is awesome. Then she's going to pop the Aware buff, gives her an extra 5 perception, taking it up to 20. And then she's going to pop Merciless Gaze, gives her an extra 15% of crits. Then she is going to stick a Hex on the floor. Now this is the point where you might want to start micromanaging her a little bit, because that Hex does do damage to friendlies, and so does the Missile Salvo, and so does the Wilting Wind. After that you can let her go again, and she can just pop these spells, the minor spells, until they actually run out. Once they run out, pop the Empower, to get her started all over again. The call to Slumber is pretty much the last thing she's going to cast. You can take control of her and use Call to Slumber yourself. You know, halfway through the battle, if you're flooded by guys, you know, you just want to knock them on the floor, Call to Slumber is a pretty awesome spell for that. Sets them asleep with the buff. It actually takes it to about 20 seconds. That's pretty quite simple, really. It's quite effective, the AI. Make sure the timers are always set right. You know, make sure you're not looking at, like, for instance, when you check the Spirit Shield, it actually says 45 seconds there. But what you need to do, you need to go to your character and take a look at it from this perspective. Where is it? What's level 1? 107 seconds, look. So there's a big difference there, 107 seconds. Whereas stock is for 45 seconds. So I've got it set for 107 seconds. Nothing else really. Set the hex to most threats, and I've got Midlet as my salvo set the farthest target because I wanted to not shoot. But you know, you've got to take control of that a little bit. She will just if you set it to farthest target, you just let the AI script run. It is going to probably only hit one guy, probably one shot it. But it's always better to stick it where you hit in 2 or 3 guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as items go, obviously the boots are pretty awesome. Get out of trouble. I've got a trinket in there I've taken from Beast of Winter. I've put a lot of fortitude and stuff on there. Damage, spell damage. Mask of the Grotto, 2 intellect. Baubles of Finn, 1 con, 1 intellect. 5% damage, 1 intellect. So obviously with the character that you create, her intellect is currently 15, but with the character I've got, her intellect is currently 23, so I've got +5 from actually items, so you could get that intellect up to 20 as well, which would be quite amazing really, because you'll have might 20, con 10, dex 20, perception 20 with the buff, and intellect 20 with items, and that's perfect. Yeah. What more can you possibly ask for? Alright, so I hope that helped. If I've fucked something up or I've missed something out, then let me know in the comments below. And next video will be about the healer. I'll get onto that straight away. And yeah, so awesome. I'll see you soon.